Here on Nerd Flame, Mr. Flame is about to drop the absolute truth bomb on the animated sequels, reboots, and remakes that are going to absolutely dominate your mind and your movie calendar starting in 2026 and beyond, pushing the boundaries of what we thought was possible in the world of animation and live-action reimaginings. This isn't just a list. It's a prophecy of pop culture dominance, a curated collection of cinematic events that have the internet buzzing, the rumor mills churning, and the fan theories piling up higher than a tower of collectible action figures. We're talking about the biggest properties, the deepest cuts, and the absolute wildest dreams of moviegoers everywhere, blending confirmed, highly anticipated blockbusters with the kind of dream projects that would break the internet if they were ever officially announced, all designed to generate the kind of atomic-level hype you crave. Get ready to have your expectations smashed and rebuilt, because the future of animation is looking insanely, undeniably electric, and Nerd Flame is your exclusive backstage pass to all the anticipation and speculation. The buzz around the inevitable release of Frozen 3 is already reaching a fever pitch that only a true modern Disney phenomenon can generate. And you know what? I am absolutely here for it, because the potential for expanding the world of Arendelle is genuinely limitless. After the massive success of the first two films, and the way the fanbase has latched onto Elsa and Anna's journey, a third installment isn't just a possibility. It's a cinematic certainty that the studio knows will print money, while simultaneously delivering an emotional narrative that resonates with audiences of all ages, continuing the theme of sisterly love and self-discovery in a universe that has only scratched the surface of its magical potential. The rumors flying around suggest a significant narrative shift, possibly exploring the origins of Elsa's powers even further, or perhaps introducing a completely new, massive threat to the Enchanted Forest, which would require the sisters to push their boundaries and their bond to the absolute limit in ways we haven't seen before, moving away from past relationships and into a more globally focused adventure. There's also the persistent fan expectation that we might finally see a more solidified exploration of the romance angle for both sisters, with the internet constantly speculating about new characters being introduced, or perhaps even a surprise return of someone from their past. Though I personally hope they focus more on the deeper lore and world building that the second film started to touch on. The animation itself is expected to be a monumental leap forward, leveraging new technologies to create even more stunning ice effects and intricate costume designs, setting a new benchmark for computer-generated musical spectacle and truly cementing its place not just as a successful sequel, but as a masterpiece in its own right, delivering new songs that will inevitably dominate the charts for years to come and continue the franchise's tradition of empowering anthems. The sheer expectation for a third film to not just meet, but somehow surpass the cultural impact of its predecessors is a colossal pressure cooker. But if any animated property can handle it and deliver a truly unforgettable conclusion to a major chapter, it's the one that redefined what a princess movie could be for a whole generation of viewers. The mere mention of Shrek 5 is enough to send the internet into a state of absolute chaos, a testament to the enduring, bizarre, and universally beloved legacy of the grumpy green ogre and his motley crew of fairy tale misfits. And the fan demand for this movie is astronomical, constantly trending on social media. People have been clamoring for the next chapter of the Shrek universe for years, and the studio knows they have a gold mine waiting to be fully exploited, especially after the runaway success and critical acclaim of the Puss in Boots spin-off, which prove there's still serious creative energy left in this swampy franchise, suggesting that this next installment could possibly lean into a more action-adventure tone. The rumors are absolutely wild, ranging from a full-on reboot that completely sidelines the original cast, which I think would be a monumental mistake and an insult to the original, to a direct sequel that sees Shrek and Fiona's now teenage ogre triplets coming into their own and having their own awkward adventures. perhaps even having them journey through new lands of far, far away to find their place in the world. There's also the highly anticipated and widely discussed speculation that this film will actually be a crossover event, somehow incorporating characters from other classic fairy tale properties that the studio holds the rights to, which would definitely be an interesting and potentially hilarious direction for the film to go. But I truly hope they prioritize character development over a massive ensemble cast. The core of Shrek has always been the subversion of classic tropes and the heart of its unconventional family, and fans desperately want to return to that sharp, satirical writing and deeply emotional core that made the first film so revolutionary and timeless, hoping for a blend of irreverent humor and genuine sentimentality. My personal hype is built on the hope that they bring back the original voice cast for one last glorious hurrah, delivering the perfectly timed comedic chemistry that is simply irreplaceable, because without that specific magic, any subsequent installment risks feeling soulless and completely unnecessary, relying on cheap gags rather than the character-driven comedy we love. The anticipation for this specific title is driven by pure, nostalgic love for the original franchise, and if the film can capture even a fraction of that initial magic, it will be one of the biggest, most talked about releases of the decade, guaranteed to bring in massive audiences and dominate the box office with its unique brand of humor. Moving into the realm of confirmed, fan-demanded sequels, Toy Story 5 is the kind of announcement that simultaneously excites and terrifies the fan base, because after what many considered a perfect ending in Toy Story 3 and a controversial, but ultimately heartwarming continuation in Toy Story 4, the question remains: what narrative ground is left to cover for Woody and Buzz? And what story is truly necessary to tell for this beloved band of toys? The official word is scarce, but the online speculation suggests a return to the roots of the franchise, perhaps focusing on a new kid who receives the old toys, or maybe even a deep dive into the massive world of toys beyond their current crew, expanding the universe in a way that feels organic rather than forced and giving the secondary characters a chance to shine. There are serious and credible whispers of a massive, emotional reunion plotline, one that would aim to bring the central characters back together for a high-stakes adventure that truly tests the meaning of their friendship and their devotion to one another, possibly involving a cross-country journey to rescue a lost member of the group who has fallen into the wrong hands, echoing the original movie's themes. The biggest talking point, however, is the rumored inclusion of a new, highly complex toy character that acts as a philosophical foil to Woody and Buzz, challenging their long-held beliefs about a toy's purpose and destiny in the modern world, which could lead to some incredibly deep and mature storytelling that the franchise is known for delivering in its most poignant moments. My personal expectation is for the studio to absolutely swing for the fences, delivering an animated adventure that is not only visually stunning, taking advantage of all the latest rendering technologies, but also deeply emotional, leveraging the audience's decades-long attachment to these characters and their journey, making sure the story feels earned and not just a cash grab. The pressure on the creative team is immense, as this sequel is seen by many as a make-or-break moment for the entire legacy of the studio's flagship property, demanding a narrative that justifies its existence and delivers a truly satisfying, definitive continuation that honors the past while boldly stepping into the future, and I truly hope they live up to the challenge. The hypothetical but absolutely essential film, Wreck-It Ralph 3, Internet Shut Down, is the kind of sequel announcement that would practically melt down the internet and generate an unparalleled level of immediate frantic excitement, because the potential for a third, high-concept installment that explores the next evolution of technology is simply too compelling for the studio to ignore. The previous films have brilliantly tapped into the world of video games and the internet, and the logical next step would be a story that deals with the increasingly complex and often terrifying reality of a world completely dependent on interconnected digital systems, perhaps exploring the emergence of AI within the Sugar Rush arcade itself and its impact on the established characters. Imagine the premise. Ralph accidentally triggers a catastrophic global internet failure, or maybe even an attack from a powerful, unseen digital antagonist, forcing him and Vanellope to venture out of the familiar digital landscape and into the raw, unmapped territory of the deep web, a place where the rules of their existence no longer apply, or perhaps even into the world of virtual reality gaming, which opens up a whole new visual aesthetic for the animation team. The fan speculation already centers on the introduction of highly requested new character cameos from major gaming and pop culture franchises, allowing for a continuation of the first two films' iconic surprise appearances that always bring the house down and generate instant viral moments of appreciation. And I genuinely hope to see some nods to early computer operating systems or even iconic digital glitches. There are even whispers of a more serious, emotionally grounded story where Vanellope struggles with the morality of being a glitch in a world that demands perfection, and Ralph has to come to terms with the idea of his best friend growing up and away from him, which would bring a powerful, relatable human element to the high-tech action and truly anchor the chaos. This is a title that screams high concept, boundary-pushing animation, promising a visual and narrative spectacle that could easily surpass the scope of the previous films and cement the trilogy as one of the most creatively ambitious animated series of the modern era, one that perfectly blends humor, heart, and high-stakes adventure. The thought of an animated feature titled The Legend of Aang, Book 4, the spirit world immediately sends shivers down the spine of every single fan of the Avatar, The Last Airbender universe, because a cinematic continuation of the original, critically acclaimed series, rather than another spin-off or live-action adaptation, is what the core fanbase has been begging for, and what truly excites the massive, global community that surrounds this property. While we know an adult Aang animated film is in development, the idea of a direct, named sequel that bridges the gap between the end of Avatar and the beginning of The Legend of Korra and focuses heavily on the mystical side of the world is just too perfect to ignore, immediately promising a deeper exploration of the Avatar state and the complex relationships with past lives. The potential narrative centers on Aang grappling with the immense responsibility of his role as the bridge between the physical and spirit worlds, facing a crisis where the veil between the two realities is rapidly deteriorating, allowing ancient, powerful entities to cross over and threaten the balance of the four nations, something that the series has only briefly touched upon, leaving so much room for creative interpretation and massive action sequences. Rumors among the fan communities suggest a darker, more mature tone, dealing with the political and social aftermath of the 100-Year War in a way that respects the complexity of the world, perhaps even introducing a rogue group of advanced benders who have weaponized their abilities in unexpected ways, forcing the now-adult Team Avatar to confront their legacy and the weight of their past actions. I personally believe the animation would need to be absolutely stunning, a massive budget feature that honors the unique, gorgeous blend of Eastern and Western art styles that define the original show, pushing the limits of 2D and 3D integration to create a truly breathtaking visual experience, one that is truly worthy of the scope of the story being told. The hype for a story that truly digs into the spirituality and lore of the Avatar world is immense, and a film with this title and focus would undoubtedly be a critical darling and a massive commercial hit, solidifying the franchise's position as one of the greatest animated epics of all time and a true cultural landmark. Let's talk about a fantastical, crowd-pleasing sequel that would absolutely break the box office. Moana 2: Voyage of the Ancestors. Even with a live-action remake in the works, the desire for an animated sequel that continues Moana's journey as a master wayfinder and the cultural leader of her people is incredibly strong, and the potential for a massive, visually stunning adventure across the vast, unexplored reaches of the South Pacific is simply too rich to pass up, making this a sequel that feels not just wanted, but essential for the full arc of the heroine. The official confirmation of Moana 2 is already out there, but this specific title suggests a narrative that delves even deeper into the rich, beautiful Polynesian mythology that the first film only scratched the surface of, perhaps sending Moana on a journey to find the lost knowledge of her people, guided by the very spirits of her ancestors who challenge her in unexpected ways, potentially involving a mythical island or a legendary artifact. Fan theories are buzzing about the possible return of Maui, but with a more supporting role this time, allowing Moana to truly stand on her own as the primary hero and leader, perhaps introducing a new, powerful deity, or a formidable sea villain that requires more than just strength and cunning to defeat, but true wisdom and emotional maturity, proving her growth since the original journey. The musical numbers are expected to be an even more sophisticated fusion of traditional Polynesian music and modern pop sensibilities, with new songs that carry the same emotional weight and instant catchiness of the first film, undoubtedly dominating the charts for months on end and becoming the new soundtrack to many people's lives. What truly elevates the hype for this particular sequel is the opportunity to see Moana not as a girl finding her identity, but as a young woman leading her people into a new era of exploration and connection, embracing her destiny and the legacy of her family, providing a powerful, uplifting message about leadership, tradition, and the importance of heritage in a rapidly changing world. The visual spectacle of the ocean, the vibrant colors, and the fluid animation of the world are guaranteed to be a breathtaking display of cinematic artistry, making this a monumental animated event that everyone will want to experience on the biggest screen possible, cementing its status as a timeless Disney classic for a new generation. Finally, let's turn up the heat for an incredible, fan-driven reboot that could redefine a classic, The Black Cauldron, The Dark Lord's Return. This is a deep cut from the Disney Vault, a film from the 80s that was initially a financial and critical disappointment, but which has gained a massive, passionate cult following over the decades for its darker tone, unique fantasy setting, and surprisingly mature themes, making it the perfect candidate for a gritty, modern, and visually stunning animated reboot that truly leans into the epic fantasy nature of the original source material. The fan desire for a more faithful, expansive, and genuinely frightening take on the chronicles of Prydain is immense, and a title like The Dark Lord's Return immediately signals a narrative that embraces the darker, more serious elements of the story, focusing on the sheer terror of the Horned King and the desperate, magical quest to stop him from unleashing his undead army upon the realm of Prydain. Imagine a new animated style, a gorgeous blend of stylized 2D and sophisticated 3D, creating a world that is both breathtakingly beautiful and terrifyingly dangerous, a tone that feels closer to a mature fantasy epic than a traditional family movie, appealing to the original fans who are now adults, as well as a new, younger audience looking for something a bit more intense and challenging in their animation. The rumors surrounding this kind of reboot always include speculation about a massive narrative expansion, giving more depth to characters like Taran, Ailanwi, and the unforgettable Gurgi, and allowing the filmmakers to finally tell the full, complex story that the original film was forced to condense into an unsatisfying hour and a half, truly honoring the depth of the novels. The hype would be driven by the sheer surprise and the promise of a dark, beautiful fantasy film that Disney has largely shied away from for decades, signaling a bold new direction for the studio and a willingness to embrace the adult fans of their classic properties, potentially leading to a full, multi-part animated saga that could rival other major fantasy franchises in both scope and narrative complexity. This isn't just a reboot, it's a redemption, A chance to finally give a truly unique and powerful story the cinematic treatment it has always deserved. And that is a story worth generating massive hype over. So there you have it, straight from Mr. Flame here at Nerd Flame. A look into the utterly mind-blowing future of animated sequels, reboots, and the fan-driven dreams that are just begging to be realized on the big screen. Starting right in 2026 and extending into a truly electric new era of cinema. From the frosty, magical depths of Arendelle to the hilarious, swampy chaos of Far, Far Away, and right into the terrifying, uncharted territory of the spirit world and the dark realms of Prydain, the upcoming slate of projects, both real and wished for, promises a decade of unforgettable, high-hype cinematic events that will dominate the box office and the social media feeds of every single fan on the planet. The incredible power of animation to not only revisit beloved worlds, but to completely reimagine them and push their narratives into bold, unexpected new directions is what keeps the entire culture of cinema alive and constantly buzzing with anticipation. And as these rumors become reality, and these dreams get their posters, the sheer excitement is going to be truly unprecedented. The coming years are set to deliver a perfect storm of nostalgia, innovation, and pure spectacle that will challenge the very definition of what an animated film can achieve. And I, for one, cannot wait to experience every single piece of it, because the hype train has officially left the station, and the destinations are absolutely spectacular. Hey, Nerd Flommers, you know the drill. Which one of these massive, potential blockbusters has your hype meter redlining? Are you ready to see a hero return, or a legend be completely reborn? Drop a comment down below with the one title you would sell your soul to see first, and why you think it will be the biggest film of its year. Don't forget to absolutely smash that like button. Subscribe to Nerd Flame for your daily dose of cinematic fire, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next time I drop a list that will completely change your perspective on the movie industry.
I didn't know this was even possible. I learned how to make money online. The link is right below in the first pinned comment.